This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
This evening on the Ospreys Diary, we talk to Grant Berni from the Ospreys Supporters Club about what they're doing for the community. We have a look back at Wales's game against France, and we have a little dive into some stats about from our season so far. Keep listening.
This is the Ospreys Diary.
Good evening, ladies and gents. I'm joined here by Nick, Josh, and Grant Berni here to talk this evening. Evening, Grant. How are you doing?
I'm very good. Thanks for inviting me on.
Tomorrow, it's the least we can do. Can we just a quick 2 minutes about what you do, why we've invited you on?
I probably can't guess what you invited me on, but Grant Berni, I'm Vice Chair of the Ospreys Supporters Club. Been involved with the Supporters Club since day one. We're there to try and enhance match day experience for supporters, effectively. So you'll find us in the Riverside Bar in the East Stand before the game and after the game. The Ospreys are kind enough to offer players across to us after the game that we get to interview them themselves, so it's not staged in any way. It's just an opportunity for supporters to have a chat with the guys and have a couple of photos afterwards. So the supporters club do as much as we can on match days. We try and raise money for charity as well, so you'll find us selling pin badges, bucket hats, and all the profits we make from that go to chosen charities. For the last couple of years, it's been Ospreys in the community.
That's really quite cool. I'm glad you could join us. I think let's start off then with some news. Let's start off with the good news because we liked it. We had a wonderful video last week of Gareth Thomas re-signing, which I think is just good news for all. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, another great re-signing. Obviously building on Lake and Morgan both signing. That's another Welsh international. Obviously we'll touch on this later, but I thought it was superb again on Friday night in a disappointing result. Yeah, especially after losing Nicky Smith at the end of last season, I think it was really important to try and keep Gareth Thomas. So yeah, over the moon, and also our social media team definitely deserve a pay rise because they've been on fire with the last few postings.
Yeah, it's the basis of a really strong pack, isn't it? With as Josh alluded to, with Dewi and Jack re-signing, we've got and now Gar Tom, we've got three of the eight moving forward, hopefully for the next 3 years. And of course, Nicky Smith's only on a 2-year secondment to Leicester.
A long-term loan deal, and I'll keep telling myself that until I die.
Yeah, if you have a look at the interview we did with Nicky when he visited us before he left, we told him there fairly straight, it's only a loan, you are coming back.
I don't think if Nicky doesn't retire at the club, I'll be shocked. In other news, the Ospreys, the under-18s went up and played Cardiff at Brew Field over the weekend and won in what has to be the game of the weekend across probably all divisions, 42-40, which is absurdity. Did anyone here get round to watching it? 'Cause I can't say
I've just seen clips.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Annoying. That wish there was somewhere to watch them a bit more easily. If they're just even on a YouTube stream, it'd be nice because I'm annoyed I missed it.
It's setting it up quite for a really good game against the Scarlets under-18s because I think we're both unbeaten. So
Yeah.
that should be quite a match when those two come together.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get another one over them, to be fair. Just really nail it down. In some slightly worse news, Owen Watkin obviously went off at the weekend with what looks like like an ACL. It's not great. It's really quite bad, even. Wales have decided to keep him in camp for the moment for God knows why. I don't know if he's fit. If he is fit, it looks a lot worse than it is. If he is injured, what is it going to look like for the rest of our season without him?
It's going to be tough. I think it makes it even more important if it is. It looked like it could be an ACL. Obviously, they'll know more, and obviously they've kept him in camp. But yeah, if it is an ACL, he could be out for 9 months. So it might be even more important to keep someone like Bosch off. We haven't seen much of Falkensinger, unfortunately, this season. So we've obviously got Tom Florence, who's quite young, coming through. So yeah, I think it makes it even more important we can keep Bosch off, especially towards the end of this season, but then going into next season as well, because he's likely to miss the start of next season, unfortunately, if that's the injury he's picked up. So yeah, gutted for him. Like he's been superb for us all season, and he's got his opportunity of Wales, well deserved. And yeah, to pick up an injury was really unlucky. And I felt like when he went off, you could see the balance in the centre partnership didn't work with Ben Thomas and Nick Tompkins for me. It's very lightweight. And yeah, I think Wales were a lot poorer when he went off.
It was just one of those injuries. I've heard some people on social media say, no, typical, when people go play for Wales. For me, it could have happened in the playing for the second team anyway. If you look at it, he just twisted his knee awkwardly. I don't think it was actually any contact. He obviously went into contact, but I think he was already injured. And a little bit with Wainwright as well. That was just a flying boot. And again, that's just part of a very physical game. And not even, the fact that it's international, it's just a rugby injury.
To be fair, having Wainwright getting injured by Anton Dupont's boot would be the second thing Anton Dupont's boot has destroyed in recent memory.
It's just disappointing when you look at the way Owen Watkins has been playing this season. He's been playing the best rugby I've seen him play for a couple of years. Okay, his performance against the Scarlets was superb. It's, massively unlucky, isn't it? I think Boshoff for the Ospreys, Boshoff has got to step up to the mark now. I think he's been given the opportunity. He's looking good. So long may it continue.
Long may it continue. The one last bit of injury news. Unfortunately, Lewis Lloyd looks to be out for a little while after posting on his Instagram on his road to recovery with his foot in a boot. I can't get any more information after he sustained a leg injury against Benetton last weekend. But it's not pleasant, is it? Doesn't look good, especially with our depths at hooker already being quite shallow.
I don't know what the situation with Dewi is. There was talk that his progress was good. If Sam doesn't get a game for this weekend, which perhaps is more likely than likely, I hope that Wales are sensible and release him back at least to play on the bench to be against Leinster on February the 14th, because he'll need a game time after 2 weeks of not playing. So that might get us through the Leinster game, and then who knows? Fingers crossed. Maybe after that, our next game, which I think is Glasgow away on the Gwyl Dewi, St David's Day, is away to Glasgow. So fingers crossed for maybe Dewi could make the bench for that game.
Yeah, we can hope. It's a bit rough and tumble at the moment, annoyingly, but
Makes a bit of a mockery of the WRU saying all the regions should aim to have 44-man squads. But the problem is when you've got 4 hookers in the squad, one gets called up to Wales, and it's a physical game. We've obviously got 2 hookers injured, and it just leaves you with 1 hooker. Yeah, it's worrying because annoyingly I can't see Gatland releasing Parry because they've only got 3 hookers in the squad, and I can see him going, oh yeah, I'll keep all 3 of them in camp. So it's whether we can get one on a short-term loan, but then it's
did you
teaching the
get?
line out calls, getting all that work in. So we're going to be quite heavily reliant on Ethan Lewis now. So
Definitely.
yeah, it's just been quite unlucky, I think.
I think unlucky is certainly how to put it. Not the best timing, unfortunately, but it's a shame because it's such a good game. He was playing some really good rugby before doing it in. Obviously, the tackle on Issacore was immense, but it's a shame. Lewis Lloyd looks to be out for going to be something like 6 weeks. By the look of it.
He's too good looking to be a hooker, though.
Definitely, yeah.
Like he looks like he should play 10.
Yeah,
Like
Punk.
he
Yeah,
looks like a reincarnation of Gav, just
yeah.
in a certain way, and I don't have to do it.
Give him time. He's only young. Okay, I'm sure his face will look the same in 5 years' time.
No, true.
Give him a couple of cauliflower ears.
I think we just need another player on the squad with a silly coloured scrum cap. I think it just really sets it in. I think that's it for all the news, though, unless anyone else has anything interesting to add. No, not okay. Let's move on then. Let's move on to the supporters club itself. And I heard you guys are doing something quite cool over the last 2 weeks, Grant. Something like going from Amsterdam to Paris.
That's not the supporters club. It's just one of the well, at least one of the supporters club. One of the committee is me. Yeah. If you look at the background picture here, I think it's about 53 or 55 riders. I couldn't
Wow.
name every single one of us. Okay. We set out from Swansea last Sunday with a view of cycling from Amsterdam to Paris, and ending up in Paris on Friday for the game. Due to some shocking weather conditions along the way and cancelled flights, we ended up getting into Holland late, overnight by Eurostar with no sleep, and then starting the journey in Rotterdam, and started our journey. So the 380 miles was cut down to 340. Sounds great. But the first 2 days went to 40-mile-an-hour headwinds as well. So
Ooh.
it was I wouldn't say it was a holiday. I wouldn't even say it was a trip. It was a hell of a challenge, and it's fantastic. Including gift aid, we've raised over £100,000 for Ospreys in the community. So a big shout out to
Wow.
everyone
Well done.
who's ridden in really difficult conditions, and especially to people like Tom Stone, Neil Navarra, Andrew Thomas, who organised the trip, and the lead riders who kept us going. It was a real challenging trip. It was the hardest riding I've ever done, and that was on the flat for 2 days.
Well
That
done.
is a superb effort, if nothing else.
Thank you.
Have you
Yeah,
done
no,
anything like that before? Have you-
last season, we rode from the Swansea.com to Dublin for the rugby, which was after the first day with the wind and the rain, and we thought that was fairly miserable. Okay, we forgot all about that after like 3 hours with 40-mile-an-hour headwinds going through the Netherlands. So yeah, it's the third big trip, or sort of big ride to rugby trip they've done. They've done Paris twice now. They've done Dublin. We're looking at doing something different for next season. But Ospreys today are announcing a ride to Judgment Day, which is a bit more open to all, really. And it's a much short, well, it's a 1 day ride, and the opportunity to raise a little bit of money, raise the profile of Ospreys in the community, get a lot more people involved. Okay, and have a look at the details afterwards. You'll get a really cool Ospreys in the community cycling top as well.
I'm sure we'll find some links and put them in the description of the YouTube video that goes up, and
Can I
pass
just
them around.
sorry, Zach.
Go for it.
Just went through my work. I was a little bit involved in Ospreys in the community when I was down in Swansea, working for the council. Obviously, Paul Wapham was in charge at that time. Met Tom a couple of times as well as he took over. But they do fantastic work. I was involved in education in Swansea, and the work they did in our schools was first class. And okay, it's very nice, perhaps going into a primary school and going in to work with kids who want to listen, who are a bit awestruck. But they also did fantastic work with kids in very challenging schools, very good schools, but also kids who were perhaps a little bit harder to reach. And the work they did was mind blowing. And as a council, we were very, very impressed with Swans in the community.
Oh yeah, the money is going towards two programs. One of them is helping kids on the point of dropping out of education, okay, and trying to hang on to them and give them some opportunities. And the other part is the Sporting Memories program they run, supporting people with dementia. So I think there's maybe 5 different rugby clubs they go into every single week now, okay, where it's an opportunity for people to go along, okay, with dementia, with their carers or their partners, and just an opportunity for people to sit down, have a chat, have a bit of normality, and have a bit of routine. And for some people, it's the only people they see every week. So the work they do in the community, fair play, it is absolutely brilliant. It's great. everything is going back into the area as well. It's great.
You love to see it. You really do. I've a couple more questions about the supporters club itself because I think it's something that more people that may not be aware of, and it'd be nice to get them interested. Necessarily, how can they, listeners of this pod, decide to get involved if they were to be
Well,
interested?
if you okay, when we set up, okay, we thought, right, this is supposed to be open to everyone. The origins came from when we played Biarritz back in, was it 2010, San Sebastian?
Oh God, I remember that game.
Yeah, yeah. No, they're the supporters club. Okay, they were massively welcoming. So every Ospreys supporter who travelled over there had a fantastic experience. Okay, it's food laid out on tables. There was live bands playing. Okay, there was wine on tables, and people came back going, "Wow, what a fantastic experience! Wouldn't it be fantastic if we could do something like that?" So, people drunk on sunshine probably thought we could replicate San Sebastian in a cold, wet, West Wales. Okay, and biggest shout out to people like Mike Phippen, some of the original people who set up the supporters club. So it's open. If you're a season ticket, you're automatically a member. Okay, it's not there's no fees involved. Okay, if you've got a season ticket, you remember the supporters club. There's a small group of volunteers running the committee, and basically we're there to be an interface potentially as and when appropriate with the Ospreys. So it's an opportunity for us to put concerns to Ospreys management. But more than that, we really want to be there just for the match day part of things. So if people want to get involved, come along to the Riverside Bar. You'll find us there pre and post match. Okay, come along, see what we do. Yes, it's not all sunshine and fun. It's not a lot of sunshine and fun, but there's a bunch of really hardworking people who put some time and effort into just to try and make the match day a bit better. So, the Riverside Bar, when we got there, was fairly unwelcoming. We tried to turn it into like a rugby club atmosphere. So we support the average Joe supporter's got somewhere to go, not just someone who's looking to pay extra for hospitality, etc.
And also, I somebody who's experienced that, I'd like to thank over the years, and I think it continues, Grant, the commitment of the players who've been very supportive and continue to be coming over post match. I'm sure at times especially when they've lost or they've picked up they're knackered after the hard game, it might be the last thing that they want to do is walk across to the East Side supporters bar, but they come, they had a good laugh, and it certainly adds to the occasion.
Oh yeah, the fact that they keep on coming over. I don't know if they got that much choice, but yeah, I think they're happy to see supporters who are genuinely pleased for the boys every time win or lose. Okay, we're there to support them. Yeah. Sometimes we have some delay sometimes, and you might see one of the guys arrive fully showered and changed and whatever, and sometimes you got the guys running across because they've been held back for a drugs test, and other times they arrive over still covered with bits of grass falling off them, just saying, I really want to get you as soon as I can, I just wanted to come and see everyone, normally after a victory if they're that keen to get over. So yeah, it's fantastic. The guys are really good. We record the interviews, and you probably find that 99% of them are available on our website, ospreysupportersclub.com. You find all the videos on there, the interviews.
Are there any particular players, your favourite interviews, or any particular characters in the squad?
Nicky Smith was always a good laugh. There's been some quality interviews in the past with I remember Adam Beard strangling Sam Davis after some flippant comments about the forwards. Yeah, yeah. If you look at, there's quite a few with like Ethan Lewis is really good value. He came over the other week. He was really good. So yeah, it's not necessarily, people love to see like tips coming over and people like that, but some of the younger boys coming over are really funny. They're really good guys. And so yeah, we're looking forward to interviewing Nicky Smith again in about maybe 18 months, is it?
Welcome home.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, Grant.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna move on now and talk about maybe something not quite as fun or interesting. I think it might be worth having a little chat about the result over the weekend. France 43, Wales 0. I think the big news of that is Dan Edwards got his debut and looked
Yeah,
pretty good.
brilliant for Dan.
Is there anything else we want to talk about at all involved in the game?
I thought Jack was absolutely superb. To be such an outstanding, to make such an outstanding contribution, and let's be honest, in a pretty poor team, to shine as he did. Imagine if he was playing for Ireland or for France, what he could offer. Because it wasn't just his tackling, which unfortunately he has to do an awful lot of. It was his carrying, his general awareness of other players, and it shows what a full skill set he's got. And as you mentioned at the beginning, Gareth Thomas was excellent as well, held up very well in the scrum, as did Nicky, in fairness, when he came on. But also his chop tackling is up there. It's like Lydiate, like.
Oh, the amount of work Gareth Thomas put in the time he was on the pitch was absolutely immense. You see him doing it all the time for us as well, don't you? He works his guts out.
Yeah.
It's the fact he can scrummage against someone the size of Antonio and still have the energy to make 16 tackles, I think he made. And they weren't just any tackles, as you say, they were proper chop tackles, putting his head in the spokes. So, yeah, he was awesome. And I think Jack Morgan had the highest meters per carry from anyone in the Six Nations this weekend, which is.
I think it might only be the forwards because I think James Lowe is up there like 15 meters to carry or something.
Oh,
but
fair. Yeah, to be honest, yeah.
I think that's a little unfair. He gets to run it in when he gets a kick.
That's the thing, yeah. And he made 21 tackles as well. Yeah, both superb and both put their hands up for the Lions. I know Gareth Thomas is a bit more of an outside bet for the Lions, but there's not a lot of loose heads. You've got Schumann, probably Porter, but outside of that, maybe Genge. But outside of that, I really think Gareth Thomas has put his hand up.
I think he's putting his hand up maybe against Schumann and Porter. Not Porter, Schumann and Genge is that the second, third choice. Because I've been a big fan of Garton as of late. I think classically we always had the built different brothers of Jack and Derry. Can we add another one to that list? Because Garton seems to fit right in.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Going to the actual game, I know I think we got a bit loose. We tactically, we picked a team to compete in the air, and we did that in the first 10, 15 minutes. And then once we went behind, we were just naive. You're not going to. I'm with the shapes that were Wales off in attack, which isn't the best. You're running a big man between. I was looking at Mafu. He runs about 10 meters from one side to the other, left to right, from the middle of the field. But you want to make him turn and run back 30 meters, or at least make him tackle inside the 15-meter lines. You're just playing right completely into their strong points when you're running at big men in the middle of the field, and certainly when you're not latching on either. So I've got, as I mentioned earlier, the podcast, serious concerns about our coaching. But I think the Osprey boys certainly didn't disappoint at all.
I think it's a really good point in terms of the kick-ins. Now, you look at when we kick in from first phase, it looked really good, really structured, really challenging. When we started kicking a couple of phases in, it was like, oh, we've given up, we don't know what to do, and it was fairly aimless.
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like we didn't have a plan B for when plan A eventually didn't work. Which I can't say I'm surprised. I'm just disappointed.
It's annoying. To me, it comes across like Gatlin doesn't watch the regions at all, to be honest, because he's put Ben Thomas at 10. He's played one game at 10 all season, and surprise, surprise, he looked like a 12 trying to play 10. I'm a big fan of him at 12, but he's just not a 10. And I think we looked a lot more fluid when Dan Edwards came off because we just didn't challenge the line at all. It looked like really lateral. France could just slowly move up and drift, and we weren't going anywhere in attack. And they had Birberé, who's probably like 5'6", why don't we target him with high balls? Why don't we get Tom
Yeah.
Rogers coming down his channel? It's ridiculously tactically naive, and it constantly looked like when we were kicking, as you say, it was because we weren't going anywhere, and then we're on the back foot, and we're not actually able to put any attacking kicks in. Whereas France, you look at Dupont and Ramos, they're always kicking on the front foot. It's yeah, it was frustrating. I think Squidge put out a good video analysing our attack, and it just looked like really pre-prescribed and really easy to read, with boys running dummy lines and not being credible options. And it looked like they were just going through the process as opposed to actually running good attacking shape like you see Ireland do, where you double up on defenders and actually ask them questions. You weren't fatiguing the France defence at all. We weren't making them think. It was so easy to read. It was very lateral. And yeah, as you can tell, I was quite frustrated.
It's best forgotten about.
I was watching that game in a working man's club where I live in South London, and I think for the first time watching a Wales game in a very English point of place, I was getting commiserations more than anything else,
Yeah.
which I think really sets in how quite sad we were. It's not like it's just sad. Let's. I'm gonna swiftly move on because I don't really want to relive that experience. So far, this has been quite a short pod, but we've decided that given it's an off week, we've not got anything to look forward to next week, really, at all. We've taken, well, I say we, Nick has spent a lot of time gathering up all the stats from this season, and it might be quite interesting to those. Just have a look through it about our stats through the season and comparing Toby Booth's reign to Mark Jones's reign so far, at least this season. Which, if I share my screen now, which is, it's quite interesting, mainly because you can sort of see there's a couple big changes, at least initially, between Toby's and Mark's reign.
Yeah, they're on the tabs at the bottom. There's 2 tabs at the bottom.
Yeah, but I think the biggest two, if you look at meters made, under Toby Poof were made, what, 320 odd meters a game? And now with Mark, we're making basically 50% more, which is really quite interesting to see. I don't know about you guys, but it's certainly something that I've found quite. It's you can sort of tell the eye passes the eye test a lot of the time.
Yeah, and I think we've sort of referred to that in the games, haven't we? We're going a bit wider, which obviously then frees up a little bit of space, against Pau and against Benetton. We run it from our own 22, trying to put a bit of width on it, and with Cassandra, playing so well as well alongside Giles. We've got the type of players who can make dents in the opposition defence, and so far so good. That's not to say, Toby. We all have Toby's coaching period a very high opinion of, but I can sort of see from that data anyway, the stats, we seem to be trying to keep the best bits of the way we played in Toby, such as successful lineouts and good defence, but adding a little bit as we go along as well.
Yeah, I think Toby definitely put the foundations in place, gave us a strong set piece. He recruited really well. He brought Gareth Thomas through, we've talked about. So we've got a strong scrum, we've got a strong line out, and now we're really looking to add to our game. Our attacking shape looks a lot more threatening. And yeah, I think the total tackle stats and the average tackle stats per game has gone down quite a lot under Mark Jones, which you would potentially expect just by eyeballing the games, that our possession stats seem to be higher. We're looking to play a bit more, whereas Toby was probably a little bit more low risk rugby, relying on set piece, playing in the right areas. But I think Mark's given us a little bit more balance where we're attacking a bit more. And if you're not tackling as much, you've probably got a little bit more energy for attack as well, to offer yourself. So yeah, I'm excited because he's only been in what, a month and a half, since Toby's left, basically. So it's quite exciting to see how far we've come on since then and how far we could go moving on to the rest of the season. I mean, he's had a big block now over the six. He'll have a big block over the Six Nations where we don't have as many games. So it'll be interesting to see how we can evolve our attack even further.
What's been the feeling amongst the fans actually in the ground, Grant?
Uh, well, you got to start off with the general fans feeling about Toby is everybody loved Toby and we still love him. We'd like to say goodbye to him properly at some point. We'd like to think that we do get the opportunity to see him again. But and he really did fix the top 2 inches of the players, didn't he? When you go back at the point he came in, right? But when you look at what Mark has done, it's almost like he's definitely building on Toby's foundations. We have got that solid side of things, but you look at the meters made and the way we throwing the ball about with confidence at the moment, and it's a joy to see. And I can't remember the last time that we demolished the team. And you look at the Benetton result, and that was a real, no, I don't think many people expected it. I know, Benetton had half the team in there that beat La Rochelle, but to nil them, I think was a major achievement. And it's like, okay, is this a real turning point? How are we going to go next time round against Leinster? That's going to be a real test. And I think, if you can get a really good performance, the result is going to be tough. But if you can put a really good performance in there, then I think that'll really turn some heads.
Yeah,
It's all right.
It's a proper test, isn't it? Next on against Leinster, as you say, it's hopefully we get a result, and I don't honestly think there's any reason we can't. But certainly we want to see that improvement, a good performance. What I don't want to see either, where we had last year, successful the season was, we had a couple of blowouts. We've had one this year, away to Montpellier. Last year we had Montpellier away, and I think it was the Bulls
Bulls
and
away, Leinster
Leinster.
away.
Yeah, I just don't want those type of results. We've had one, of course, it's unlikely we're going to go for the rest of the season without losing the game, but I don't want to see a 40, 50 pointer against us.
I think it helps with playing quite a few of the big teams at the right time. Playing Leinster and Glasgow in and about the Six Nations period there's no good time to play them, but it's probably as ideal as you'd want.
Yeah.
Well, you look at Leinster, losing 23 players, and they really scraping the barrel now. And then when you look at what's left with people like Snyman,
Yeah.
It's all right. Geordie Barrett wears Kieran Williams pajamas. It's really nice seeing sort of. I think the stats also show we're playing how more adventurous we're being. It's sort of we're seeing the defenders beaten going up per game like significantly, which is something that is nice to see. Looking to play a bit more. It's fun, and it's been a long time since the Ospreys have been categorized as playing quote unquote fun rugby rather than just winning games, which at the end of the day, it's probably just good for the club.
Okay.
Anything else? Is there anything else we want to talk about regarding any particular stats that stand out to you?
No, just that we just looking at the URC data as well. There's some standout performances which we've, I think Morgan Morris was in I think there'd been 10 rounds of URCs, roundabout being the top second, I think, on carries, first on gain like success, and tips, as we've also said, has been still, such a high quality player. I think he's seventh in the turnovers in the whole league, and of course that doesn't include. I think he's second in lineouts, clean lineout takes as well. So I think it's a testament to what a player he is still and has been. But obviously, it's something we're going to have to address moving forward after this season. What a player to try and replace.
Play a coach, I think, is the answer. One more season. One more season.
One more season.
Can we just get one of recurring contracts like Cardiff have for Ray Lilo, where he just keeps going until we decide when he stops? It'd be really helpful. I would like to bring up something that I just found very funny. That after this game's weekend, you hear all the chat about Josh McLeod being turnover king and the best 7 in Wales, and you've still got less turnovers than Justin Tipuric this season.
He's a
Which,
good player. McLeod's a good player. I'm
yeah, he's a
glad
good.
I'm glad he's having a good run without fitness, with his having better fitness. But yeah, he's
I do feel for any back rower coming through in Wales at the moment, especially sevens. You're up against the absolutely world-class group of players. Because if you look at, Jack Morgan, you've got Rafael. I think Thomas Young's an absolutely class player as well. We're lucky to have Harry Deeves coming through. I think he's going to be brilliant. And you've got Tame Basham down at the Dragons. It's just a conveyor belt of great talent, and I'm excited to see Morgan Morse come through even further as well. I'd quite like to see him off the bench. I just think he'd offer a bit more impact. I do like Rafael, but I just think Morse would offer more carrying impact as well. But from a selfish point of view, it'd be nice to see him in an Ospreys shirt during the down weeks. But yeah,
well,
it's just
the under-20. He's not been. He's still eligible for 20s. He was only 20 last month, but he's obviously not been selected for Wales under-20s. So I think Mark Jones and Intu alluded to it, that he's obviously stayed with us with a view to featuring in these games. So
Yeah.
whether that's off the bench or maybe even perhaps give Morgan Morris a little bit of a break and for him to come off the bench in one of the games. So, but he's definitely got all the attributes that you need to be a top class carrying back row player.
speed off the base of the scrum as well. Well, that try he scored against Benetton, I haven't seen many number 8s who can pick up a ball and carry that well off the back of the scrum. It's I'm excited to see a bit more of him. I mean, he's only got what, about 100 under 20 caps, so
He's
he's
only
been
had 4
playing
years
for
of
them
under
since he-
20s. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. He's been playing for them since about 12.
yeah. First year secondary school, first year in comp.
Exciting times. Exciting times. I think slightly less exciting times is let's have a little preview of what of rugby that is going on this weekend. For the best or for the worst. Italy, Wales. How do we feel about it? Unconfident, I think, is a word going around. And there's a vibe.
I think it's going to be really challenging coming up against probably the best right up there with the best centre partnership in the world right now.
Yeah.
I think if Gatland could pick a pair of centres to play his sort of game, he'd be picking Brex and Menoncello in terms of bulk, pace, power, brains. Okay, yeah, I might have been part of the reason that the Ospreys did one over on Benetton was the lack of those two right in the middle. I think the Italians aren't mugs anymore by a long way.
Oh no.
I say
The only
that
thing I
they're
would
half and half.
say is I honestly think because we're so bad and so poor, I'm not sure if there's more pressure on Italy than us because there is an expectation that they've never had to cope with before. From the results last year, winning 2, drawing 1, there is an expectation they're going to match that and finish mid-table. They lose to us, which, okay, might be a stretch of the imagination, but if they do, there is a lot of pressure on them because where are they going to get their wins after that? So they're not used to that type of pressure. So you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I think this will be one of the first games in the Six Nations where they've ever been favourites before the game. I
Yeah.
think even when Scotland were pretty poor, I think they were still the favourites most of the times when they played
Yeah.
Italy. But I think, Grant hit the nail on the head there with that centre partnership. It does really worry me. It would worry me less if I could pick the centre pairing myself, but I have a feeling you might end up going for Thomas or Tompkins or some sort of mixture of the two. And for me, that completely lacks balance. And yeah, it scares me what Menoncello and Brex could do to them, but we'll see.
I have a feeling he's going to take Eddie James and Joe Roberts and say, go, have fun. Which,
I hope so.
like, I hate to say it, is probably our most balanced centre pairing left.
Yeah.
Like, Tompkins had a stinker on the weekend.
Yeah, he did.
He just, It was Nick Compton's time, and he was fine for large periods, and it's not really what you want in your 13 channel to be largely anonymous in the modern game. I don't think it works. I don't think it's encouraging to watch, especially all of this trying to win now when you're putting a player who plays 12 at 13 and has played 12 all but 2 times for Wales before,
Yeah.
which is
It was strange, wasn't it? It was very strange. Like
didn't
I sort of was hoping that Owen would have played 12 and maybe Roberts outside him.
Yeah.
Which worked quite well as we talked about last week against France last year. Another when he played once, I think, together. But it did work well against France in Cardiff. But maybe it wasn't what Mr. Gatlin wanted or the other coaches.
Right. I'm going to be very brave and ask you all for both a score prediction and a silly thing that will happen. If you want to start us off, Nick.
It'll be close. I don't think it's not going to be a 48-0. Well, at least I hope not. I'm going for 20 points to 13, unfortunately, to Italy. And Wales was the funny thing that's going to happen. Wales didn't score 2 tries, both set up by Dan Edwards.
You know, that's very respectable. Josh?
Uh, Italy by 10. And I think Dan Edwards. I didn't get my Dan Edwards drop goals last game, so I'm going for the Dan Edwards drop goals this game. Dan Edwards get 3 drop goals.
Grant, do you have any idea?
I have no idea. I'll go with 27-23. I think Wales will pick up a couple of points. They lasted a long time against France, playing very reasonably well defensively and still ripped apart. In terms of funny moments, I can't see anything funny in Welsh rugby at all at international level right now.
No.
Unless the ball's going to bounce off someone's head or hit them in the face. Okay, it's not funny at all.
That's such a shame because I just see it as bringing out the hands of Josh Adams on a high ball and just like somehow catapulting into someone's rectum. I just see it happening. I don't know why. I just see it. It could be the most.
What about you? What's your
Uh,
predictions, Zach?
I think Italy 31, Wales 22. We're in it until the last minute, and then we give away an interception try in the 70th minute. Being a funny thing that happens, I feel that just suits.
Okay.
And
I've got the regional results if you want me just to run through those quickly.
yeah, let's have a listen to the community game and see how it's going on. Who's doing well?
Okay, well, we've got Admiral National League 1 West, Buryport, unfortunately, 50, Wainarlywydd, 10, Pencloud, 19, Kidwelly, 36, Pontarddulais, 17, Aberystwyth, 24. So not a good set of results for our teams there. Furness United, 24, Falls Bay, 18, West Central, Aberavon Green Stars, 22, Skewen, 21, so a very close game. Bridgend Athletic 49, Morriston 10, Bilthwells 20, Astrike Gunlice 15. Swansea Uplands continue their winning streak, 29 against 24 from Nantafellon. Abercrave 24, Aberavon Quins 10. This is West Central. Bryn Aman, 23, Porthcawl 22, Brinkethin 22, Hale Crew 26. Mumbles 13, Resolving 0. Pencoed 26, Maesteg Celtic 10. Division 3, West Central, Bagland 39, Tonner 24, Bridgend Sports 3, Mantamoyle 39, Brincoch 42, Tom Mawr 29, Neath Athletic 31, Cwmavan 12, South Gower 50, Cefn Cribwr 3, and West Central 4, Britain Ferry 13, Maesteg 20, Rhygos 31, Gleis 12, Seven Sisters, to good win 40, Cwmgors 7, 5, West Central, Bonamine Athletic 33, Cwm Twrch 0, Cwm Llanfell 3, Cwm Gwrach 43, Dunmont Athletic 48, Banwen 7, Glencorrwg 19, Tai Bach 33. In the Bucks match from last week, I think they're probably playing this afternoon as well. Exeter unfortunately gave Swansea Uni a thumping, 53-10. Division National Championship West, Ammanford 74, Maesteg Quins 15, Glenneath 24, Ystrad 21, Gorseinon 10, Dunmont 34, Gowerton 36, Crymych 41, Cefnig Hill 37, Trebanos 34, Tondy 12, Tartar Steel 21. And Admiral Premiership, Bonamine 19, Bargoed 22, Neath had a good win, 54, Newcastle Emlyn 13. And going up then to the Super Rugby Cymru Trophy Cup, whatever it's called, Pool A, Aberavon 36, Bridgend 25 in the local derby, and finally in Pool B, Swansea 24, Newport 52.
I think it's worth finishing off this week with some funny news for all the Ospreys fans. In that Eddie Jones has been spotted in the Scarlet's camp, and I think that's the best news that any Ospreys fan can possibly hear at this point in time. As a quick reminder, please remember, if you did enjoy this episode, please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. Please follow us and rate us 5 stars on all our platforms. Feel free to follow us on Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook. It means a lot to us all at the pod. Thank you all for listening and have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
That was the Ospreys Alley. Please rate, review and share on socials if you can, and join us next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.